Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/am I the asshole for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the post, giving you my thoughts and opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Mabel Lynn. Am I the asshole for sending my ex's fiance the screenshots after she asked what was going on? Found out my ex was engaged because his fiance texted me after seeing our messages on their shared iPad. Until that moment, I haven't had the foggiest idea that she even existed. My ex and I were together 5 years. 4 years ago, I was working as an assistant manager at a home improvement store when I hurt my back on a shift. We were short-staffed, a pallet needed moving, and I twisted wrong trying to help shift part of it by hand. I ended up with a bad lumbar disc herniation, nerve pain down my leg, surgery, pain meds, lost my job, gained weight, got depressed. He stayed for a few months, then left with some line about not being able to keep setting himself on fire to keep me warm. Fair enough, I guess. Good riddance. It took me a long time to rebuild. I moved back in with my mom, retrained, got a stable job, and bought a condo last year. And then, the parasite messaged me out of nowhere a couple of months ago. At first, it was kinda innocent. He was asking how I was, and he always wondered if I hated him. Dumb question, to be honest. You left me at my lowest. I'm certainly not going to be grateful for that. Then it turned into regret, bad timing, and whether I even think about us. Last week he asked if I wanted to get dinner and see if there was still something there. Again, I did not know he was engaged. His fiancée asked me if he was trying to get back together with me behind her back. I sent her the screenshots, no hesitation. Now, our Don Juan is sending me angry messages claiming that I'm a bitter piece of shit. Maybe, but if I was about to marry someone who is quietly lining up a plan B, I'd certainly like to know. Am I the asshole? So, not gonna lie, I at first thought that they had been dating for 5 years, and then out of nowhere the fiancé messaged OP like, hey, what are you doing? Like, 5 years had gone by and he had been two-timing two people, but thankfully, that wasn't the case. Only another extremely fucked up option of, as he has a fiancé, and now that OP is actually doing better and picked themselves up and has bettered their life, now he wants to squirm and wriggle his way back in there. Do you even still think about us? Are you mad at me? I have regrets. It was just bad timing. Do you ever think about us? Do you want to get dinner and see if something's still there? Like, dude, fuck off. Honestly, the fiancé should definitely know what her hopefully soon-to-be ex-fiancé thinks about the whole sickness and in health part of their vows. Sorry, but when you're going through it, I'm just gonna walk away, and then once you get hot again and put yourself back together, I'll be right back there for ya. He's only calling you a bitter piece of shit because he's mad he got caught. You should direct his attention towards the castration blender and see if he partakes in it. Wrench in a pot. Am I the asshole for refusing to visit in-laws because of house temp? My 36 female husband's 37 male family lives out of state. We are in the DC area, and they live in southern Mississippi. Every summer, we spend 2 weeks visiting. My in-laws are great, except for one thing. They keep their house in the summer at 80 degrees. That's 27 degrees for those of you who don't use freedom units. It's unbearable. I do not sleep. It makes me nauseous. If I try to ask for more AC, they oblige for 10 minutes, then complain about being too cold. My husband is also miserable, but he deals with it. Tonight, I told him he's more than welcome to visit this summer, but I will not be joining him. It's not relaxing for me. I do not want to use my vacation time to be miserable for 2 weeks. He got upset and said spending time with his family and his wife together is important to him. He said I was being selfish. I am being selfish, but I don't think it's a bad thing here. I explained I understand that, but unless we can stay in other accommodations, like a hotel, or if his parents agree to make the interior cooler for the visit, I will stay behind. Of course, he wants to stay with his family, but he won't say anything to them about the temperature. This upsets me. I told him part of being married is watching out for the well-being of your partner, and, of course, it escalated. So have at it. Am I the asshole for not visiting my in-laws until something changes? It seems like such a trivial issue, but it can be unbearable getting minimal sleep. sweating all the time with no relief for 14 days straight. Edit to add, it would be difficult for them to travel to us, especially for 2 weeks. They do visit us, and we see them multiple times a year. Husband's relationship with my family is great. My family lives closer, so it's easy to spend a weekend with them here and there. So my blood boils. Like, if the temperature is not below 67 degrees, I am going to be just way too warm and uncomfortable. I can't sleep unless the ambient temperature is at least 64 degrees in the house. No idea why, but at 68 degrees, can't sleep more than maybe 5 hours. 66, I can get closer to maybe 7. But at 64 degrees, oh god, I can sleep for like 9 hours, 10 hours, and just be totally good to go. But that's just me. That's how I am as a person. I don't know many people, though, who would be A-okay with an 80-degree temperature within their home. That sounds like hell. Not even metaphorically at that point in time. For me, I prefer the cold over the heat, because with cold, you can just put on another layer, or even just wear like thermals and be like totally fine. In the heat, you can only take so much stuff off before you start hearing a quirky bass riff and find out you're in an 80s movie that's, not appropriate for all ages. I think it's perfectly reasonable not to want to use your vacation time and to be selfish, and not want to spend your vacation in, well, humid hot hell. The only compromise that I could maybe find is maybe like getting an air conditioner that could be just for your room, but that's a lot. You could also just offer that your husband stays in the room and you get a hotel, and you'll reconvene during the day to go back to their house and see how he feels, and see where his buttons are, and see what you can make him fold on. Positive sanctuary. Am I the asshole for stopping contact after she took my daughter without permission? Hi all, I posted last month. Alright, give me one moment. Positive sanctuary, 2 months ago. Am I the asshole for asking a favor from my sister's ex-wife? I, 40 female, lost my husband and father to my children, 8 years old and 12 years old. He had been battling with cancer for 3 years prior, and he got a terminal diagnosis just 2 months before he died. For context, just before we got his diagnosis, we had made the decision to co-parent as our intimate relationship had been lacking for many years. Once given the diagnosis, we continued to live and shared responsibilities, but were in separate rooms and lived like roommates. The bits we were good at were the parenting in unison. So my husband suddenly came down with pneumonia and died at the end of July 2025, right at the start of the summer holidays. I dealt with everything during this time and even returned to work full-time in September. Many of the entertainment bills were in my husband's name, so I needed to transfer or change accounts to me. One being our broadband, and this happened to clash with a workday. I took the afternoon off work, but suddenly realized I would also need to have someone collect my son from school. Firstly, I asked my mom, who lives in the next road to the school, but she said she could not because it meant bringing him back to my house on the other side of town, and she had work. Friends from work I rely on for this also had days off that day. My sister, whose kids also go to the same school, didn't have her kids that day, so I didn't ask her, as she too would be at work. I mentioned to my mom that the only person I could ask in such a short amount of notice was my sister's ex, as she would be picking up her own kids. My mom laughed. So, that's what I did. I just needed help. I had lost my husband only 5 weeks prior and was living day to day at that point. This might be where I'm an asshole. My sister does not talk to her ex, and she was massively hormonal being pregnant with her fiance's baby. I never said that I would cut off communication, as she requested, just like I didn't with her current fiance when they broke up the first time around. Complicated, I know. Suffice to say, my sister hates her ex. Anyways, my ex-sister-in-law agreed to pick up my son, said she'd feed him as the cousins wanted to show him their new room at her new house. I saw this as a bonus, as I could focus on other things, like making it through another day. The next day, however, as I was rushing my son to a club, my sister turns up on my driveway, screaming at me. Did I go around ex's house? I explained she pickcast her up. She kept screaming and repeating the same thing at me. I was tired, so just let her rant. She ended with, "That's it, you're dead to me." I reversed the car and left. I found out later that she had blocked me from all social media, deleted me on WhatsApp, etc., and told everyone not to update me on anything to do with her. My two best friends called me up, saying my sister had left crying voice notes on their phones, saying how I met up with the ex, go around for tea and visits her house. I've been friends with her since the breakup, and that I've betrayed her. My other sister also calls me concerned, as she also got a similar message, saying I hadn't asked my sister for help, and said that my mom had also denied that I asked her for help or that she knew anything about the situation. Well, it all ended in a massive fractured family right at the time when I really needed help and support. 7 months on, stubbornly, I have not bothered to reconnect or smooth things over with my sister. I'm on very tentative speaking terms with my mom, who clearly took my sister's side and even suggested that I should have asked a random neighbor or left the broadband guy in my house on his own whilst I picked up my son. My sister has posted Christmas pictures of my whole family, minus me, on socials, tagging everyone so I could see them. Invited my 12-year-old to the baby shower and sends her scanned pictures but tells everyone not to let me know the updates. It is tiresome, but honestly makes me really not want people like that in my life. But just wondered, was I the asshole? Update. Am I the asshole for stopping contact after she took my daughter without permission? Hi all, I posted last month about a feud I have been in with my sister, which began 5 weeks after the death of my husband. Well, since then, I have been no contact, but have allowed the children to be in communication with her via text. She invited my 12-year-old daughter to the baby shower, and although she declined, I helped her pick out a present for the new baby cousin. Fast forward to today, the baby is a week old. I had arranged for my mom to look after my children so I could attend a funeral of a young work colleague who had suddenly passed away. Since the fallout with my sister, my mom and I had only just started to repair our own relationship because it felt like her actions meant she took her side on the matter. Well, my other sister called in the morning to give me a heads up that my sister was taking the baby around to meet the children during their visit. It all seemed very contrived, so I called my mom and expressed that she did not need to sneak around planning things like this, and that I'd rather her ask me or say something so I'm not blindsided. I updated her that my daughter, 12 years old, had decided she was not coming, but my son, 9 years old, still was. Now, we have an understanding with my daughter since she started secondary that she is welcome to stay at home on her own now, but she is not to cook or answer the door. She must keep her phone on and check before going out. Whilst I was gone, my sister, the one who I'm not speaking to, messages my daughter asking why she wasn't going to Nanny's, as she was taking the baby over to meet her. She offers to collect my daughter from home to take her to Nan's, meet the baby, and then bring her back, which happened to coincide with the end of my funeral attendance. This is exactly what happened, except my daughter left all the doors open, I wasn't asked prior to her leaving, and then I was blindsided again when my son spilled the beans when I collected him from my mom's. Conveniently, Mom was upstairs, unable to communicate with me during the collection. I have messaged my sister on my daughter's phone explaining how dangerous I find her for encouraging my daughter out of the house and taking her elsewhere without permission. I have now blocked her number from my daughter's phone and explained that open access to speaking with this aunt cannot happen anymore. I know this was a trusted adult and I had nothing to fear of her safety, but I just don't feel comfortable that this was the appropriate way to go about a meeting, especially since our estrangement. Some of my friends think I should call the police to log it, especially since her work is with children, and this is a major red flag. I just wanted an unbiased opinion, Redditors. Have I overreacted? Update from OP in the comments. Update had a really condescending message from her. Hello, thank you for your message via B's WhatsApp. My apologies for not ensuring she sent you a message to ask permission. She was due to go to Nanny's house with C, and I did not think it would be an issue if I collected her to go to Nanny's where C was, and dropped her back for an hour. That is a mistake on my part, and I will make sure to avoid this going forward. I think it would be a shame for you to block me from her as we speak regularly. We may not be speaking due to the previous situation, but that should not hinder the kids. Something to consider. She also had to get in there first by sending a screenshot of this message to my other sister saying, "My bad," like it was a joke. My other sister called me to update as she went off on her because She's sick of the way she's trying to play victim and justifying her own shitty behavior. So, I don't care that she was a trusted adult. The moment that she takes your daughter out of your home without your permission, she is no longer a trusted adult. Also, judging by the way the text message thread went and how the reaction was in the "oops, my bad" little comment that your other sister had sent you, sounds like your sister just lives and breathes for the drama, no matter who it hurts or who comes at the cost. Someone's always got to be the villain, someone's always got to be responsible for the strife. It's the weekly villain syndrome. I had an ex who pretty much lived and breathed this. It gets fucking exhausting. It's actually kind of crazy how if you have someone in your life that lives and breathes drama, it just feels like everything around you is always stressful no matter what. But the moment you get away from it, it's like, oh, holy shit. There has been like no drama in my life. It's been really nice. But it sounds like OP's sister has weekly villain syndrome where someone always has to be to blame for what's going on for them. OP was going through the death of her husband and was actively trying to navigate the difficulties of grieving and handle everything that would go towards the estate and just other complications, and was in the position of, shit, need someone to pick up my kids, sister's working, mom can't do it. Okay, I guess I'll see if my ex-sister-in-law might be able to. Is it ideal? No, but was that one of the only options that OP had? Yeah. I could understand the sister having the reaction of, hey, I really wish you didn't reach out to my ex, I wish you would have reached out to me instead. That's a reasonable reaction, but she's refusing to even look that OP was stuck between a rock and a hard place and was just kind of screwed and dealing with a lot of emotional baggage and was not in a good place, and the sister would rather go, me, you're siding with my ex, you're hanging out with my ex, you're prioritizing my ex over me. And it's like, I'm just grieving the loss of my husband and trying to figure shit out right now. Please get off my back. And now your sister is so much against you and so much of painting you as the villain that she would rather kidnap your child from your home than actually talk to you. Because, yes, that's what it is. Kidnapping. It may not be prosecuted, but by the letter of the law, that's what it is. Taking a child anywhere without a parent's permission or consent is kidnapping. Also, your mother is definitely conspiring with your sister, by the way. You definitely gotta look at that from a larger picture, because even though you might feel your relationship with her is being repaired, she's still doing shady stuff under the table that's in direct benefit to your sister and at your detriment. So, might want to explore that a little bit. Posted by Iguana Lover. Am I the asshole for declining a second date with a guy after he ran over an iguana? Hi, long-time lurker, first-time poster, so the format might be a bit off. Made a new account since a lot of our mutual friends follow me on my main. English is not my first language, so there might be a few edits to fix typos. There's honestly not too much to the story. I got set up on a blind date with Daniel, fake name, by some of our mutual friends, as we've both been in the dating scene for quite a bit. I'm 21, non-binary, and Daniel is 23 male. The date itself was pretty uneventful. We got to know each other, and he genuinely seemed like a pretty cool guy. I was seriously considering a second date with him. That was until he drove me home. Where I'm from, iguanas are an invasive species. While considered a plague, I still am of the opinion that they shouldn't be mercilessly killed. In fact, I think they're one of my favorite animals. This is important. While he's driving me home, we're both chatting away when I suddenly notice an iguana on the road. It was a vibrant green and a small little fella. Couldn't have been older than 1.5 years. He honestly looked pretty confused. There weren't many cars in the road lane where it was standing, so I assume he'd be safe if he ran fast enough. But my date had other plans. Without as much of a warning, he swerved into the other lane, running over the iguana and then laughing about it. I think he said something, but I didn't quite hear it as I was in shock. I didn't say anything for the rest of the drive. Once he dropped me off, I told him, "It was lovely meeting you, but I don't think there should be a second date." Without missing a beat, he asked if it was about the iguana, proceeded to call me a sensitive bitch, and then sped off. I later realized he blocked me, and now some of our friends said I shouldn't feel bad for an iguana and that I was an asshole for not giving him another chance over that. With so many of our friends on his side, I came to ask Reddit, am I the asshole? The fact that he called you a sensitive bitch and sped off is already reason enough to not want a second date, and you saw his true colors right then and there. And yeah, you dodged a bullet. That, of course, is ignoring just his completely vile behavior. I personally can't trust anyone who would just be needlessly cruel to animals. Even if they're an invasive species. He swerved out of his lane, presumably onto incoming traffic, or what would have been incoming traffic, ran it over, laughed about it, and enjoyed it. And your friends are not only tolerating this behavior, but accepting it and upset with you for not accepting it. I think it's perfectly reasonable to be put off by someone finding joy in animal cruelty, in my opinion. Comes across as though he's using the label of invasive species as a green light to just simply be a monster on the road. There are humane ways to deal with an invasive species. This is not one of them. I think it's reasonable and entirely understandable that OP doesn't want a second date with this guy. Mandragon221. Am I the asshole for telling my mom she's the reason my life is ruined? I'm 28 female, 5'7", and currently weigh around 210 pounds, 95 kilograms. I've been overweight almost all my life, along with all 4 of my brothers and both my parents. We were never allowed to go out to play as kids, and since we belong to a middle-class Asian family, most our childhood was spent studying with zero physical activity and a lot of eating. All 5 of us have been on diets since we grew up, succeeding to lose weight at different levels. I developed a hormonal disorder called PCOS around the time I was 14. For those of you that don't know, PCOS makes it extremely hard for you to lose weight. I still managed to lose about 30 kilograms at 21 to 24 years of age through extreme diet and exercise. I even developed an eating disorder towards the end of it. During that same period, my parents forced me into a marriage against my will. The marriage turned out to be abusive and horrible, just as I had known it would. But I got pregnant. I lost the pregnancy at about 4 months of gestation. I got very weak from it and was brought to my parents' house where I finally filed for a divorce. I regained all the weight I had lost from trying to recover physically and mentally. I recently got remarried and have been trying to lose weight the healthy way, strength training and calorie deficit. But with PCOS and all, it's been extremely taxing. I also recently got diagnosed with adenomyosis, which is also an extremely painful condition that I developed from having a traumatic miscarriage. Last week, I visited my parents' house. While going through the closet for a dress, we were casually chatting about how my sister-in-law's parents got her the nicest dresses as gifts for her marriage to my brother, which took place along the same time as my second marriage. My mother took it as an attack on her for not getting me any nice dresses, and snapped, saying, "Well, we didn't get you anything nice because you're just so fat. Women like your sister-in-law will be able to wear these dresses for years to come, but yours will be unwearable in a year or 2. Nice things are for fit people." I already hold a lot of resentment towards my parents for forcing an abusive marriage on me. It takes a lot of self-control to be nice to them. This comment just triggered something in me, and I told her that it's her fault. We're all fat and have been struggling all our lives. Unhealthy parents make unhealthy children, and you made us all obese. I said it's her fault that I have PCOS and now adenomyosis, and my life looks like hell as compared to my peers. To this, she started crying and saying things like, "Yeah, you want us to just die. We did so much for you and you'll always be ungrateful, etc., etc." Everyone in my family thinks I crossed the line, but I didn't talk to her until we left. I cried a lot on the way home too. Now I never want to go back and I don't feel like I have any parents or a home left. She expects me to apologize. Am I the asshole for telling her she made me fat? Too long didn't read. Mom said I don't deserve nice things because I'm fat. I said she's the reason I got fat and have illness in the first place. I would assume this is probably pretty standard among everyone. I don't think parents enjoy hearing that they failed as a parent, because that means that one of the things they've dedicated so much of their life towards, and one of the things they feel they accomplish in life, has all these now negative strings attached and baggage weighing it down, making them feel like a failure and that their accomplishments meant nothing. So they would rather plug their ears and go, la la la, you just want me dead, blah blah blah, you're so ungrateful, yada yada yada. Well, at least I tried. Well, at least I gave you food and a home and shelter and, the basic necessities that are legally required of me. I like to think that when I become a parent, if I do make mistakes like these, that I would be able to take accountability for my actions. I would like to think I can do that, but that is, of course, anticipating what it feels like before the rubber even meets the road. The mindset of, oh, obviously I would have this reaction here. I would like to hope that I would do right by my kids, even through my mistakes. But OP's parents would rather believe they're infallible, and that, well, obviously the reason why they're so upset is just because they're an ungrateful brat. My recommendation to you, OP, would be therapy. Lots and lots and lots of therapy, as well as a healthy dose of no to limited contact, if possible. I think it would be easier for you to heal and to move forward without them in your life. You've spoken your piece. It will become a missing reason. And if they want to rebuild a relationship, that's on them to take those steps. It's not on you. You don't have to be the bigger person here. You don't have to apologize. You don't gotta do shit. What you do have to do, though, is put your oxygen mask on first. And do your best to live for you and the family that you've found, not the family you were born to. Medical Season 7688. Am I the asshole for not parking on the street for a neighbor's infant? I live in a townhouse community that's basically two sets of connecting row houses facing each other across a narrow, meandering drive that loops around to a single entry/exit. Each townhouse gets 1.5 parking spaces in front of each unit, and any extra vehicles have to park outside of the community on the main street. I, 40 female, work night shift, so I'm leaving my place around 11:45 p.m. every night. I do my absolute best to make as little noise as possible on my way out, because I know my hours really aren't the norm, and I'm blessed with two neighbors beside me understanding my schedule and doing their best to keep their noise at a minimum during the day, and keeping me informed if they're doing any renovations or holding any noisy gatherings. I truly appreciate them and try to be the best neighbor possible. I keep myself to myself and do my best to not cause drama. A few weeks ago, the neighbor directly across the drive from me flagged me down as I was coming home from work. I've never met her or her husband before because, again, weird hours. She told me that she has a 7-month-old infant who is a light sleeper and is woken up every night when I get into my car and turn it on, which is causing her family to lose sleep as they try to get baby back to sleep. She asked if I could start parking out on the street on my work nights so that I don't disturb them. Problem is, if I park on the street, I would either have to walk several blocks away to the exit and then several blocks again to the parking, if I could even get a spot, or cut through an unlit, heavily forested green space that is currently unsafe at night due to a tweaker encampment. Without doxing myself or my job, I will just say that I am very aware of who those particular individuals are and some of what they have been convicted of. Wandering into their territory in the middle of the night is a strong fuck no. According to her, the baby's room is the one directly overlooking my parking spaces, and she doesn't want to move it to the other room on the other side of the townhome overlooking the street because it's way too busy and loud at night. Frankly, I consider my safety and honestly my convenience more important than her baby's sleep schedule. This didn't go down well with her, and since then, she and her husband have tried to convince me to agree. I told them that I would be as quiet as possible and close my car door as gently as would secure it. But I'm not going to park on the street. I really didn't think this would go any further, but one of the other longtime residents pulled me aside as I was coming in and asked if I could just help out for a few months until the baby got older. Part of me feels bad because I'm a mom too, but part of me wants to now take up late-night violin lessons. Am I the asshole for not making the effort to park on the street? Edit. I'm blown away by all the fast responses. Thank you all so very much. I was starting to feel like I was missing something. Working nights for nearly 20 years kinda messes with your social normal meter, so I was afraid that I was in the wrong in some way. So those of you who commented are truly deeply appreciated. I'll keep standing my ground, prioritizing my safety, and keep on keeping on. So I went through the comments to see if I could find any "you're the asshole" or just comments in general that were in disagreement, and goddamn was it difficult. The only two that I could find that weren't just outright not the asshole comments was one that was downvoted for saying you should find some kind of compromise, maybe seeing if you can share a parking space with a different neighbor who parks in a different location. And then additionally, another one who said you're only the asshole if you're driving like a super loud, straight-piped car. Don't know why that one was downvoted. I also am in agreement that OP would be the asshole if their car was straight-piped. And that's what was waking the baby up. However, in an instance like this, a majority of the comments are pretty much in the standpoint of the baby's going to wake up to a lot of things, not just your car. They need to be acclimated to random noises, and they're first-time parents, so they're going to be kind of like this on edge, and it's not unreasonable to not want to put your own safety at risk by parking somewhere else and not using a parking spot that is yours that was given to you with your unit. It's also a bit frustrating they're getting other neighbors involved and kind of just spreading the gossip pretty much that you're being unwilling to assist, and now they're trying to assist with that, and oh boy. I get the feeling that this is going to escalate and become more than just a squabble between the two of you, and more neighbors are going to end up getting involved here. So just be prepared for that. Also, as someone who also works nights because it's what works the best for me, I get it. It really does fuck with how your brain operates and works. I mean, hell, I'm going to bed. I just looked at my wrist like I'm checking my fucking watch. I have never worn a watch in my entire life. What the hell? Anyways, pretty much once this video goes live and the initial 30 minutes look good, I'm going to bed. So, I get it. And it's currently like, it's gonna be like 7:30 a.m., 8 o'clock a.m. 8 o'clock a.m.? Oh my god, I need to go to bed. Well, anyways, everyone, good night! Another day, another outro. Another plug for gamer subs, where I tell you to use code KEYZ at checkout. Did you know that it probably doesn't contain horse oil? I don't know why it says probably, or what horse oil even is. It's just on the flashcards that were given to me, that I wrote. For that matter, I can certainly assure you that gamer subs does not include horse fingers either. So use code KEYZ at checkout for 10% off. Also, I lied, there's no flashcards.